Page 5 now, pushback to the effort to honor victims of 9/11. Yes, it's true. On some college campuses, some university administrators apparently have a problem with the annual effort by the Young Americans Foundation to remember. YAF chooses a couple hundred college campuses to erect pop-up memorials to the victims of September 11th. They plant flags, collectively more than 500,000 of them, in the grass at these schools. They do so respectfully, and then they remove them the same, respectfully. So what's the problem? Joining me now on the Daily Ledger, page 5, beat Stephanie Marie. And Steph, there is no problem if you're a patriotic American who puts country ahead of any ideology. Unfortunately, it's the reverse on many of these college campuses.
Yeah, unfortunately. And the Dallas Hall lawn at the Southern Methodist University in Texas is actually covered with red, white, and blue today. But this wouldn't have happened had YAF not fought for the right to remember and honor the victims of 9/11. Now, SMU actually denied the organization's annual request for the use of the lawn for the Never Forget project. Why? Because university officials were concerned that the American flag could potentially be triggering, harmful, or harassing.
Thankfully, with the help of the governor of Texas and several other prominent officials and the relentless effort of our chapter chair there at SMU, his name is Grant Wolf, that policy was overturned. And this morning we were pleased to see that indeed they had a beautiful 2,977 flag memorial to commemorate the lives lost on this day 16 years ago. Time and time again, we are seeing something as unifying and non-controversial as commemorating lives lost from around the world in the 9/11 terrorist attacks being disrespected by students who don't realize the significance of this day. And once again, this highlights the reason why we are doing this. I remember I'm a senior here at the University of Michigan. I remember where I was on the day of the attacks, but freshmen coming in don't. I was in half-day kindergarten, and a lot of these freshmen don't even remember what happened the day of the attack. So that is why providing that emotional connection by doing and planting these nearly 3,000 flags. When your arm gets tired and you get blisters on your fingers from placing so many flags, it's really when it hits you, the enormity of the event, the enormity of all of the victims of a evil ideology. It really hits you at that moment. The suffering, the little blisters that we had to go through to plant those flags is nothing and pales in comparison to the suffering of the families and of our entire country on the day of that attack. It really puts it in perspective.
The Never Forget project started back in 2003, and so far 10.4 million flags have been placed in the ground as part of this effort. And
they call this harmful and harassing? Well, I say good. If it's harmful to certain people when they look at all that sea of American flags, good. I hope it harms them, and I hope it harasses them off the campus and out of the country, because they do not belong here. If they have a problem with these brave Americans, these young Americans, planting these American flags as a memorial. And unfortunately, you know, it wasn't, I guess, this year, but was it last year? At least one college campus, these memorials were vandalized?
Yeah, it's Occidental campus in Los Angeles, California. We saw students, they came in, they took down every single flag, every single one. They crushed them, they ripped them apart, they threw them in the garbage can, and the students who put them in the ground, they went back and they planted every single flag and replaced it, and the vandals came back again. But the students who were participating stood guard, and they didn't let the vandals take them down again. And you made you brought this up about the university officials, how, you know, this was just such a ridiculous stunt. It's beyond belief that they would have made that call, that the Young America's Foundation would have to fight to put flags up to remember the victims, the heroes, the families that are still suffering. It's really unbelievable.
Young America's Foundation should be celebrated, and that's why we're profiling them today because of their efforts to memorialize these folks, these victims of 9/11, and good for them. And we have to remember that many of these kids playing the flags weren't even born when 9/11 happened. And so unfortunately what they're doing is they're setting an example for their elders who do not respect this country. Steph, thanks.